Hey, what's up, guys? We're here today with Big Loaf. We're gonna go over his new drafter pass site where you can rate teams against each other. They have a leaderboard. They have power rankings for you as a user. You can upload all your teams, vote on other teams. It's been a real fun thing to use. I've been using it the past week or so, and we're gonna bring on our special guest, Big Loaf. Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on, brother.
My mic was muted. Had to take care of that. How you doing,
Oh,
man? Thanks for having me
oh,
on.
sorry. Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming on, bro. Yeah. Yeah, and I've been having a lot of fun on this new site you made, Drafter Pass. I remember I saw you kicking around the idea a couple weeks ago, and then you guys got it out pretty quick, and you've been making tons of updates and everything to it too.
Yeah, the idea came to me in a dream. Um,
Yeah.
and I tried to vibe code it out for everyone that's been vibe coding is you could try to get AI to build you the website if you could prompt it correctly. And I got pretty far in the process, and then there was a certain impasse or the database management. I was like, yeah, I don't think I have this in my bag. So I put it on the back burner for a second on when I tweeted the idea, and I was like, let me see if anyone's really interested in this. The community support was really good, and Aiden, who deserves the bulk of the credit for all the things that you guys love, ended up responding to me, and I was like, let me reach out to him, and he was interested in building with me, and then 2 weeks later we were able to ship it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's like I mean, yeah, no, that's really impressive. Like just the code. I mean, I have no idea about coding to be honest with you either. But but that's just super impressive, and I think it's really cool too, like how interactive you guys have been and how much you've been improving it so quick. That's like really impressive with the whole site. It's like every time I go on almost there's something new to look at. Like I see this new a number next to the name. Um
Let's see, are you higher than me?
what
I'm gonna leave
is
the stream if you are.
82.
Where am I
Uh
at these days? I was at 81 yesterday. Let's see if that's changed at all.
uh
Big loaf. Yeah, I'm still in 81, so it was a fun stream. Um,
uh,
this product obviously there's something wrong with it if I'm not the highest. But
yeah.
yeah, jokes aside, the
Uh
rating system
Share
is
this one.
the Ken Palm of basically Drafter Pass, and what it does is instead of it just reflecting your true win or loss record, it kind of ranks all of your matchups. So like if you have a team that's 5-0, but you beat an 0-7 team, an 0-1 team, a 1-5 team, and a 2-5 team, that's not going to rank as highly as your team that went 7-0 but beat a 6-0 team, a 5-0 team, and a 4-0 team, etc. along the way. So it's basically how your win percentage adjusted for your strength of schedule.
Okay, that makes sense. So like yeah, if you're just beating up on a bunch of like 1-6 teams, something like that, um then you're not going to get as many power ranking points or drafter ratings as if you're beating up on, or if you beat a team that's like 6-0 and you knock them off, something like that.
Essentially, yes.
So
Who it does have the crown achievement right now, being the lowest rated drafter. No, not to bully them, but like it has to be
uh
somebody.
I would say it's this third guy because this guy only has
hmm
27 ratings. This is like 150. So 66 is the lowest rating, with
Mason Q 33. I just want to tell you, brother, I am personally jealous. I definitely think there is something to almost having like a worse rating that kind of shows that what you're doing. Not
yeah.
to be clear, it can be bad. What you're doing could obviously just be objectively wrong, and the market is correct in hating it. But there's also the angle of like, oh, I no one likes what I'm doing, and potentially that could be a sign that you're doing something that other people are not, which in itself can be an edge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's definitely true. Like maybe you have a strategy that yeah, maybe you just have a strategy that doesn't really fit in line with the consensus, and everyone else is thinking of the game wrong. How would your casual like zero, especially like the type of drafter you are, like how would your zero RB type guy feel about a Saquon Henry build last year? How would that look to them, and then how'd that do, right?
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
From what I've heard, we want need to, we've been out for 12 days. We definitely want to play around with some like the data that we have gotten through all these votes. But the word on the street is that the voters do not like the zero RB teams.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which like we have
Oh.
212 like users with teams right now, around
Mhm.
450, 500 or so like that are signed up. So like that's not to say like what we have currently is reflective of the overall best ball market, but it is I would say a big sample. But also, if you follow me, I'm a running back guy, and a lot of the people probably have heard about this through me so far. So maybe we have unintentionally become a high T company, but I also just think the people are right that the zero RB teams just aren't as good.
Yeah, I'm pretty open to all types of builds. I would say I'm a little bit of a zero RB drafter. Like I like hero RB, I would say is my favorite, with like maybe a late to mid RBs to kind of fill out the room so it's not super weak. Um that's kind of like my go-to, but I can see that with the zero RBs because I think when you look at them on paper, you just look at the RB room and you're like, well, they just can't compete. And I think that's maybe like the week one view of it, but that's kind of the point of zero RB, right? Is they're like the late hammer. But I think when
Hmm.
you look at them on paper, you're just like, oh, like you have Travion Henderson, and then your RB2's like, like not Ramondre, like Najee or something, right? And then you have like backups after that,
My
and it's like,
my biggest
oh, good.
qualm, I guess, with the zero RB thing is like back in like like I've been in fantasy. I'm 26. If anyone was curious, but I've been playing DFS and all that fun stuff under my mom's name since I was 15. But I've been in the fantasy streets for a long time. Point being, and back in the day, like like if you played, I'm sure you remember, it was like Adrian Peterson won, Matt Forte two, Marshawn Lynch three, Clinton Portis four. Obviously, I have the year on. Point being, a bunch of running backs early. And to when that was the case, I think what zero RB was a lot more viable because all of the good backs were going off the board immediately, and it did make sense to take wide receiver 11 over RB 14. Whereas to now, the market has changed a lot, and also the NFL has become more rushing heavy to where it's like, hey, I would be a zero RB guy if the running backs were priced appropriately, and I will still mix in zero RB targets even in my builds. Like I could take three volume backs and then put like Tyler Algier and Jalen Wright on that team. But to me,
Mhm.
the market is the running backs are not priced appropriately, and not taking advantage of that, I think, is the incorrect move. So for that, I just like can't willingly like start with Trevion RB1, Najee RB2, because there's no reason I think that Josh Jacobs should be a mid-second rounder. Like he should be higher. Jonathan Taylor should be higher. Bucky Irving. Basically, almost every RB1 should probably be higher than they are if they're not number two overall at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I notice a lot in my builds. I'll start the if I have an early pick, I'll start receiver first round, and then I'll grab an RB on that 2-3 turn, and then I'll probably grab two more on like the 6-7 turn,
Hmm.
or through like 9. I'll have like three or four at least. So then it like feels solid, and I have kind of that hero like a JT or Jacobs, like you said, up at that top turn. And then if I'm in the back half, I really like that 5-6 turn. Those RBs feel nice, with like the Walker, Mixon, Kamara, Henderson, Harvey. Like
And
those
what I
guys
will
feel
give
really
the
nice.
I don't think you're obviously saying this, but like those aren't zero RB targets. But I will give
Oh
the wide
yeah.
receiver heavy bros is that like, hey, you cannot get the ceiling and weekly floor that the high capital wide receivers bring to the table. Like it's just not possible. And with the running back depth that you mentioned at that 5-6 turn, I love Chuba, I love Mixon, I love James Conner, I love DeAndre Swift, I love Kenneth Walker. I'm like Kamara,
Mhm.
but like point being, like all those guys, and there's absolutely merit and be like, hey, I'm gonna take Jetta's, Marvin Harrison, like Tyreek Hill, let's say, because I could follow that up with three straight running backs that are far too cheap. And now I kind of have like, really good running back depth while also committing, my three highest draft capital draft slots to the wide receiver position, which you need to have a ceiling at, especially in these pod formats where you're going to have to come first out of 12 people, first out of 16, and then, I don't really the finals. As long as you make it to the finals, that's fine. I'm more concerned about getting through week 15 and 16. If I make it to the finals, I'm just happy to be there.
Right, right. Um, let me catch up with Chad a little bit, and then we'll go over some more of the features. Nick Bach, what the fuck? Hey, thanks for stopping by, brother. What the fuck's up?
Let's win the
I'm
flex. I
smoking
learned
Hartman.
that's winning the
Oh
flex.
yeah, win the flex. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Win the flex. Yeah. Um, and then I'm smoking Hartman. Nick has a 55% win percentage, and I'm down at 52.8. But the power ranking says otherwise. We're the same. Throwing shots at Najee. Not really. I was just trying to think of you guy. People love Roshan. Nick loves Roshan. Then Fancy Football Garage, GM, what up? Hey, what's up, bro? Thanks for stopping by.
what up, Chief?
Um, so so on the leaderboard, so I guess we could see two. Yeah, CBK still has the most wins. So he's probably gonna stay up there, right? Because he has such high volume and he was in so early that he'll stay near the top as far as like volume stats,
Yeah,
right?
and that's why we wanted to make the drafter rating too, like because like obviously like the sample is different. If you were, a part of the people that I like frantically DM, like, hey, you want to try this out when we were trying to beta test it, you definitely had the benefit of having a lot more votes than people
Mhm.
who joined like yesterday, for instance.
And then if you have a bigger portfolio too, then you'll get more votes as well, right?
That is something we are working on, but like, yes, in theory, like, absolutely. If you have 700 teams uploaded to Drafter Past and some other guy has five, the guy with 700 teams is going to show up in the voting pool more often. But we are currently working on a system to where, as fairly as possible, there's not going to be a way where we can perfectly ensure everyone all gets the same amount of votes every day, like perfectly, but
Mhm.
as close to that as we could get, that is something
Oh,
we are
okay.
currently working on.
Okay, that's pretty cool, yeah. Yeah, and I guess it would depend too on, like, different tournaments, stuff like that, right? Like or, like, pre-draft teams are probably getting higher exposure because there's, like, not as many loaded in, stuff like that. Um, I would imagine right now.
Yeah, so as of right now, I believe it is, and I have the analytics in front of me. Let me scroll down. The puppy one is currently what we have the most of. That's basically 8,200 teams in there, and the way the voting works is if it's a puppy team, it can only go up against another puppy team. So, like,
Right,
just let's
right.
just say hypothetically that those puppies make up like 50% of our total teams, and they don't like that. The puppy will show up in the voting pool 50% of the times. If the eliminator only makes up 2% of our total teams in the pool, the eliminator will show up 2% of the time.
Oh, that's really cool, I didn't know that. Okay, that's a really cool feature, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, the
Huh.
teams cannot play each other from different tournaments. Puppies only play puppies, BBMs only play BBMs, big dogs only play big dogs, etc., etc.
Oh, I okay, yeah, I did know that, but the ratio thing, that's really interesting. Like I didn't know that if there's less total teams in that tournament, that tournament's like teams are less that much less likely to be selected. That's pretty cool. That does make sense though, now that you say it.
We're not married to that system. It definitely makes sense, at least for now. And, like, we're always working on way to improve things and love hearing what people have to say. A lot of what we've implemented has been, like, because of direct feedback. But as of right now, it just makes sense to, like, hey, there's more puppies in there. And BBMs. Most of the votes are going to be on BBMs and puppies. But that's also because that's what everyone's drafting.
Right, right, that makes sense. And then so this is all the by user stuff. So the rating, you can see different users. You can click on them so you can see their profile. Like everyone has a profile page. So this was like the highest rated guy right now. You can see who's voting on him well, who's voting bad. And then you can see their teams and like so I guess you can't sort or oh no, it is sorting. Okay, so then yeah, you can see what their best teams are, most wins. So like they have a 9-3. We could see that team. Um, we can see who's voted on it as well.
Yeah, they all
Oh,
have the.
that's really
It's a cool
yeah.
product, right, man? It's fun.
Yeah. So and that rating is for the team that it went up against, right?
Correct, correct. So there's an individual like drafter rating for a team, and then your user drafter rating is, the average of all of that thrown together, basically.
So, so Let's see what an 11 rated team looked like. So Bo Nix, Penix, Tua, fine QBs, Saquon Montgomery, Mason, Charbonnet, Shipley, fine RBs, I would say, right? I mean, the
Yeah,
RB
not like
room's
the
fine
most
enough.
depth, but it's not. They have more than nothing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Terry, Devonta, Sutton, Judy, Kirk, Palmer, Tillman, Vele. It's okay. It's not like great because there's no real top end talent. And then the depth is a little thin, only having Judy, and then it kind of falls off. But it's not the worst receiver room either.
Yeah, I'm
Um
very Cedric Tillman filled, and they got him at 167, and I really miss those
oh yeah.
days.
Yeah, I'm big on Tillman as well. So I mean, I like him. I like Palmer. I'm just saying, like, where you take them expectation wise, right? Like, but the receiver room's not terrible, and then they have an elite tight end. It's a maybe it's because it lacks correlation and like no room's super strong, but
And
I
a real
expected
thing here
worse.
is, I think that like I've noticed, and we'll see as like this like grows and we get more like voting data and all that, like how it all ends up playing out. But I've said this a few times, but what I've kind of come to realize now and kind of thought before is teams to me are in three categories. There's bad teams, which like to me falls into like they're not well structured for
Mhm.
XYZ reason. Then there's viable teams that, at worst they're viable. They allotted capital correctly. Player takes aside, like, it made sense to do what they did. And then there's viable plus, which is just like, hey, the team is actually viable and it has some more going for it. So a big thing I have to take away since we've launched this and, getting to see all these teams voting on them is that they're in the same way there's not as many like really bad teams, there's also not like a lot of really great teams either. Like, we're all going doing the same ADP. There's thousands of drafts a day. A lot of them are bound to look similar. And like even on the
Mhm.
drafter rating thing, our highest guy's an 85 and our lowest is a 70th or 69 it was maybe nice.
I think it was 66. Yeah.
66. But even then,
Yeah.
like, you would think like, oh wow, he's only 20 rating points off. The point I'm trying to get at here is
Yeah.
hot take, no one is that great at this, and currently no one on here is that bad at it, in my opinion. That's on here so far. Now, that's not reflective of the entire drafter pool, but I think the market, we're all a lot closer in talent than given credit for, because the player takes thing like, like some of that's up to variance. I think the most we could control is the structure and our portfolio and how it's balanced out. Outside of that, how the players do, we have no control over that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with that. And I mean, it does kind of make sense, like people who are kind of more in tune with the community, kind of more plugged in general, I think would tend to be at least sharp to some extent to like the basic level, right? Like
Hmm.
they're going to do base level best ball things correctly for the most part. They're not going to draft like super wild teams that aren't viable for the most part. They're going to be at least viable even if they're not perfectly
And
constructed.
if you've seen these teams that's won BBM, it's never this like, oh my god, what a tank of a team. It's a team
Yeah.
that's viable, that like, gave itself a shot to, get through the variance riddled hell that is the playoff pods, and it just happened to flip the coin and come on the right side as many times as it needed to. Again, so like that's a big thing for me, is like once you hit the viable range of like, drafting teams, it's hard to like truly say what the impact is of like, viable plus more. And of course, I think there's an edge. I wouldn't play this if I thought there was no edge, but I just don't think it's as big as we think, especially just because of all the variance that is like just riddled in this game. That, that's just how it is. There's nothing that can be done about it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think like I've seen I think his name's on Twitter, it's like Good Guy Grant. I I'm sure you've probably seen his stuff
I'm
maybe.
familiar with Grant. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, and like he was putting like some of those charts out like, well, what if you have a 20% edge? Like how much EV is that worth? Or like it's like you need like 140% edge to almost lock in profitability basically, like year over year. And
Hmm.
it's no one, even if you do have that little edge or even if it is a decent edge, it's like that's still no guarantee, especially in a tournament like BBM where it's pod based, luck based. You never know what's going to happen. So as long as you're throwing up shots that can hit, then I mean you're giving yourself a chance, right? Any of those teams can win.
Yeah, and like that's kind of what the game we're playing is, which is like as we were talking before the show. I do have a slight preference for total points, but I'm willing to admit that I'm in the minority on that, a pretty small minority on that. And that's one thing I like about there, where like all weeks matter equally. So like last year, example I always go with is Jonathan Taylor. If you didn't take him last year, that worked out for you weeks 1 through 14. It was the correct thing to do. He was not paying off cost. Not saying he
Mhm.
was a bad pick necessarily, but it didn't work. It was not the correct pick. But then you get into, I can't remember if he went nuclear week 15 or 16, but then he goes, was the nuts, like, I think the number one overall scoring player on the slate, and then not having him, you're done. So that thing that you did correctly came back to bite you at a different time. Whereas in total points, like yeah, Jonathan Taylor could drop that big that big behemoth score in week 16, but it's not going to make up for the fact that I took or someone else took a better player in that range who scored more points that was able to keep me above him.
Right. Like I've even seen people make the argument like who was really the better pick in like BBM, JT or Saquon? Because Saquon almost guaranteed that you have a bullet, but JT, if you could sneak him to week 16, then you're like one of the front runners. So
I don't
it's
think
so
there's a correct
interesting.
answer to that. Like, not that you were asking me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a correct answer, but I do get what the question's implying. And like, I guess like if I had a gun to my head and I had to pick, who would you rather have, man? My answer probably would have been Jonathan Taylor because that was the money weeks. But I also don't like that part of the game where if like that becomes a thing. It's like no, Barkley was objectively the better pick, but in terms of like when that mattered, Jonathan Taylor did it in the week that had the most on the line, and that plays into things. So for like all those like odd nuance reasons like that, that's part of the reason I have the total points preference. I think
Right.
there's somewhat of a like a barrier to entry into best ball for like traditional fantasy players because of these type of things. And I think total points helps like kind of like mitigate some of. But I am aware of the total points flaws too. Neither are perfect, of course.
Right, right. Because I think total points, the only issue is you can like just lose your sweat super early,
At
right?
least you
Like
have one
not
going the
super
whole year,
early.
right?
Well, no, that's what I mean though. Like if you're on like week 12 and you're way out, like you're pretty much done. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're not done to cash like min cash, but you're done to really compete for like money with that team.
Yeah, and it can still cash, and that's another thing I like about total points is just like the cashing element. I think not all of us are rich. I've been called poor numerous amounts of times for advocating for the cheaper contest, and like that's fine. But like when you're playing best ball, especially the pod format one, you kind of just have to be aware that you're probably gonna lose 75 to 50% of your money, even if you're going to have a good year, because once the pods get there, it's all down to luck, and the skill no longer dictates it. Whereas in total points, if you do the correct things structure wise and good player takes, like yes, you might not have achieved the perfect combo that got you like the first place or even second place finish, but if your portfolio is good, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with a 20-25% return in a year. That's outperforming the markets.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like I agree. Like Drafters is the only site I've actually been profitable, like 2 years in a row. They're the only site I've been profitable on 2 years in a row, like the last two. So, I mean, yeah, they seem really good for just grinding it up, and I don't know. I think it might be a little softer, like as far as rooms, but even without that, like the promos and like you said, just like you don't have to worry about variance, just build a strong team and you have like a real shot. There's no variance involved other than real life like injuries, blah
Yeah,
blah,
other than like
obviously.
not having Jamar Chase last year, like there was no world,
Yeah.
which I've never mathematically mapped it out, but like I would assume there's probably no world where you were capable of having the number one team in a total points format last year without having Jamar Chase on it. That could be wrong if I looked at the spike
Yeah.
week data, but I would imagine that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you probably had to have them. Yeah. I had one team that did pretty well last year. It was like a Bengals stack with Chase and Burrow, and then it had Saquon. But that one did pretty good for me on drafters. Um But okay. Oh, I did want to show too. So we looked at the by user. So this is the by team ratings. So this is just the strongest teams, like, right, just overall wins, win percentage, rating.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously if you
Yeah.
have no losses right now, you're like those teams are gonna have like a blue rating that's in the 90s, of course, because
Right.
like no one's beat them.
So in this is the best overall team, right? 11-0, BBM by CBK.
Yes, yes, sir, certified ball knower.
Hurts, Nix, Purdy, Taylor, Ramondre, Rashad White, Eckler, Miles Sanders, Sean Tucker. So full like hero RB, great QB room. Jefferson, Wilson, Judy, Debo, Thielen, Pierce, Diami, Kittle, Ingram. So great tight end room. I'm a little bit surprised to see this as the very top team. It's good. I mean, it is a good team though.
Yeah, and like part of that is like we have 55,000 teams currently uploaded to Draft or Pass, so like we're working on again like trying to ensure like the correct cycling of like, hey, you get cycled out because of this, you reached enough votes, this team didn't have
Right.
any, this, that, and the other. But yeah, I agree with you 100% that like I don't think that's going to be the actual strongest team in here so far. But also on the flip side of that, there's not as many strong teams as you think there is, and then a lot of our interpretations of what a strong team is differs from the voters, whoever's voting on that team. So there's a lot of nuance here. A lot of people have been surprised that like, oh, really, people like that? But I mean, these are real people voting on this, like and it's anonymous before you vote, so you can't like I love CBK personally,
Right.
shout, I love you, brother, but I can't like say I hate Hartman and love CBK, and you guys are going head to head. I don't know that until after I vote. The names don't appear until after. So this is that's pure objective voting right there. So whatever the market says, like we have to value it somewhat. Whether they're right or not remains to be seen. But there's probably something there to that team being 11-0.
The the scariest feeling when you're rating teams is you vote against your own team.
I
That
had a buddy go 0-4 in his first four against himself. He voted against himself the first four times.
I think I went like 5-0 on my own teams. I'm like, all right, you gotta keep the streak alive. Huh.
Yeah, and there's no problem with liking your own teams. I would hope you do. Like, if you didn't like your own
Yeah.
teams, and there's also times where like I draft something where I'm like, yeah, the room didn't fall on me the way I needed to. And if I went up against somebody where, maybe the room did fall or they were just better at it, like in general for that specific team, I'm like, yeah, that one, because you can't control how good the team is at times. The other 11 dudes drafting with you also have impact on how good your team's capable of being.
Right. Right. Um, Let me catch up real quick. What's that up on screen? Shout out Who Hames. Hey, what's up, Bones? Thanks for stopping by, brother. Yeah, shout out to Who Hames. So this is draft or pass, where you can upload your teams and you can vote on other teams against each other. We've been kind of going through the leaderboards and stuff. I'm gonna show one more page and then we'll vote on some teams against each other. I'll kind of show you the main thing with the site. Um, Omega, what up? What up? Hey, what's up, bro? Thanks for stopping by.
Also,
Uh,
shout out
Go ahead.
Tiarn. Sorry if I messed up your name,
Oh
brother.
yeah,
I
sorry.
don't get a lot of people who shoot on the total point side with me. I get bullied all the time because I like the total points. So Tiarn, thanks, brother. Really appreciate the support because man, I've been in the minority on my total points pitches over the last 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean I like the total points format too. It's just I don't know. It's hard to see it being the main one, but I do like the format overall. Um, so let's show the profile page. So you see your rating, your name. You can look at other people's profile too. Um, so achievements coming soon. I know you've talked about some of those. Do you guys have any planned or still kind of figuring it out?
Do have some planned and also still figuring it out. We wanted to get the rating system out there first, and also I don't want to give away too much, but have some other fun things coming on, like the voting social side here soon. But like so that's a little bit lower on priority, but we do have ideas in mind. Of, for example, one I've shouted him out multiple times, multiple streams. I'm happy to do it again. User Saints to Death, which is also his ad on Twitter, has over
Mhm.
5,000 votes. So if you see a team with a vote on it, there's a good chance that Saints to Death has it, and we're gonna, it'd be some ridiculous award. And we want all these achievements to be hard, and we also don't expect anyone to like, like try out and go get them. Like, like we definitely don't feel like hey, like you have to go get these achievements now. But whatever the voting achievement award is for X amount of votes, it'll absolutely be named the Saints to Death Trophy or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I mean that's crazy. Like 5,000. I mean that's wild. 5,000. But like that's cool. I mean that shows like I've noticed sometimes when I'm voting, yeah, like you just don't realize you vote on a bunch of teams. Just kind of not doing anything, right? And you end up scrolling through a bunch of them all in kind of one batch or whatever.
Our highest usage hours outside of just like lunch, which is when most people are doing things, is like 10 p.m. to like 1 a.m. at night. So yeah, I think a
Yeah.
lot of the boys are just they're bored on their phone, not doing anything. You go through, and yeah, you could end up rating 30 and like not even realize that you voted on 30 teams pretty easily.
Yeah. Um Okay, so yeah, so you guys will have the achievements coming soon. But yeah, the rating I think is a really cool addition because it kind of shows like yeah, like you said, the strength of schedule and everything. And then so down here you can see the people who voted the best on your teams and the people who voted against you the most. So that's good. That's just kind of interesting, especially if you see someone on either of the list. I've seen a couple of Discord tags or Twitter tags, stuff like that, with why do you hate me at whoever,
It's meant
stuff
to
like
be
that.
a social app, like we want to, connect the drafters and everything, and also just try to give people like just more like exposure to themselves. Like, it's you're a content creator. It's a hard game out here, and we thought it'd be fun to like make this like a social element to where there could be some benefit there, while also trying to take away the how could I put this, the arguments that have constantly occurred over teams, and try to make it like a little bit more of a calm process where we could calmly debate on why we disagree, because like when they voted that, they didn't know that was against you, like so
Right.
with DFS Fish, my buddy Nick actually showed me how to work on spreadsheets like 8 years ago. At this point, it's not because he doesn't like Hartman as a person, you know. Whereas I think when it's on the timeline and before Draft or Pass came out, things might have got a little too personal at
Right.
times when disagreements occurred over fantasy football, which is a little
Right.
ridiculous.
People get so defensive over something, and then someone has a different take, and now they hate each other for it. Like, yeah, it just gets crazy. Um, All right, and then also, so yeah, you can see also your teams and then how they've been voted on. So you can see like your weakest teams, your strongest teams, win percent, how many wins they have, how many losses they have. Um, so, that's all pretty cool. Yeah, just like pretty cool. You can see your different like portfolio and everything. So I guess this is my best one. So it's 8-0. Um, strong QB room, decent running back room with kind of mid range,
It's a strong wide receiver room. I'm willing to give you that.
strong receiver room, and then decent tight end room. Yeah, but it's just kind of cool. Like I've looked through some of my own teams and stuff before, but it's just kind of cool. You can see your best teams, like all the different stats on them, stuff like that. Your worst ones.
Let's see what your worst
Um,
one is. Let's see what your 0-4 is.
so okay, yeah, that's the worst one. I think is this the single tight end? No, okay. So Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, good QBs. Kamara, Robinson, Tootin, Ramondre, Algier,
So
Roshan.
you're RB adjacent at least.
Yeah, I mean Kamara, B Rob, but yeah, I would say later RBs for sure. Um, Neighbors, Rashi, Worthy, Higgins, Noel, Wandale, Bryant, Lockett. Kind of a weak receiver room. Pretty weak actually. And then Bowers, Kelsey. Probably just too much at the onesies because then my running backs and receivers, especially receivers, took the biggest hit probably.
And I want to take elite QBs and elite tight ends this year, like from the bottom of my heart. But like, it's
Mhm.
hard to take one of those without sacrificing one of the rooms where I have to start. I could start up to 3 running backs and up to 4 wide receivers a week. And with how cheap the quarterbacks and tight ends are, like I think it's ridiculous how cheap you get some of these QBs, and to a lesser extent, the same thing with the tight ends. So like I've just been finding myself jamming the majority of my draft capital into the RV and wide receiver position. And I'm like, look, in the aggregate, I like to think with the cheap guys I take, I could build a strong quarterback and tight end room, as opposed to like taking one guy to try to dictate that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean I'm kind of with that. I think so I'm slightly overweight on the elite 3 tight ends. Um like 10 to 11% on all 3 of them. But I really like building tight end rooms with like the mid range and then tacking on some late range just for some depth later.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably my most like preferable way. But I definitely do have like elite tight end teams for sure in my portfolio. But yeah, I think this one's just the Hurts and Mahomes, and then Bowers and Kelsey having both onesie, like 2 at each onesie by 112 for the latest guy. That's what made it so weak. You know, Hurts and Bowers makes it weak enough, but then when you add Mahomes and
Do you agree
Kelsey,
with the market on this one then? Do you agree with the 4 voters on this team that, it probably could have lost to whoever it went head to head with?
yeah, I think their receiver room especially is like insanely weak. This is basically like Mahomes throws 5K yards, like 50 touchdowns, or I'm cooked. Uh, right? I mean, because if he doesn't, the receiver room's toast. So yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't think it's a very good team. I have a team that's a solo Tucker Craft tight end, and that I know that one's down there too somewhere.
I voted in favor of a couple of the solo
There's
tight end
fun.
teams, but it had more to do with its opponent being so bad than it did with me liking the single build.
This one, I think this one got one win, and I looked. It was also a solo tight end. But yeah, it's Baker Love, and then RB is kind of like a late, like almost zero RB, but a lot of, just a lot of shots at it, and then Quinshawn Warren up top. But then Chase Higgins, Hill, Hunter, Pickens, Godwin, so crazy receiver room. But then only Kraft at tight end. He is stacked though. But yeah, that one's kind of funny. I must have fell asleep or something doing it.
A
'Cause
lot of
there's
people
no
fall
way
asleep,
I would
is what I've been hearing. I don't know who's
there's
lying and who's
no
not, but
there's no way I would have taken Pat Bryant, an eighth receiver on this. There's no shot I would have done an eighth receiver. So yeah, I mean like yeah, it's just like kind of funny though. And I think that was a Schnauzer. Yeah, that was in the Schnauzer too. But I just remember
worst
because
contest
I
that
saw
take that
that
end.
on the hi.
Worst contest, like, at least that didn't happen at BBM. You didn't fall asleep there.
Oh, yeah. I saw that one like a week ago because someone posted in a Discord and they tagged me. They're like, "What are you building?" They saw the single tight end. They're like, "What are you building out here?" This is pretty funny. But but yeah, I mean that's pretty much all the ranking stuff, the profile, all that. Um, we could get into rating some teams. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to go over like with any of this kind of stuff, like leaderboard profile, any of that?
No, man. I think again, thanks for having me on. Yeah, you willingly talked about something that I've made last almost 40 minutes. So no, nothing. You covered it perfectly, and I'm really grateful for that. The only thing I have to add on like that side of things is we're always open to feedback. If you use the platform and you think you want to see something, like feel free to tag me on Twitter, join the Discord, send it there, tag Draft or Pass DM. We're always open to hearing what folks are interested in seeing.
I I did actually and then we'll go to the drafter pass and then we'll enter a draft in just a minute or two also. Or a couple minutes. I did have one kind of interesting thought. I don't know if it would be good or not. Is like if you could see a player like the NFL players win percentage like by team, something like that.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, that
my
might
is my response to that.
okay. Yeah. Because I don't know if it would have much variance or not. I don't know if it'd be just like super tight, it's based on build, or if like certain players are more liked than others.
Yeah, and like we need to start combing through some of this and like looking at these fun things. Like someone yesterday even said, like, is there a dupe team in the pool? Is there two of the exact same teams out of these 50,000? I'm like, oh, I don't know. That's a great question to ask. But took off so much for quicker, and very grateful for that than we thought it would. So like these things, like we're a team of 3 dudes. We're trying to build it out as quick as possible. Well, there's only 3 of us. There's only so much we could do at every given day.
Yeah. So let me catch up with the chat just a little bit. I think the big 3 tight ends are undervalued still, but the 100s area has some nice pickings. But if the mid tier lose more players, the elites look sweeter. Yeah, because some of them moving up a little, some of them falling a little, like Loveland and whatnot. Um, I think the big 3, I think like Kittle's starting to push up to where maybe he's debatable. The other 2 are falling a little, where I think their values are decent, but I don't know. I definitely think building either way is viable at tight end. Tight end has a lot of viable strategies this year. I don't know if you want to speak on any of that, or if that's
I think the big 3 tight ends are undervalued. Yeah. The big 3. Definitely not Bowers and McBride. That's not me saying they're completely overvalued. I think McBride is, at least by a little. Bowers, I think I can't argue like that he should be going in that range. Kittle also got a lot of steam. I just think like the element of this is best ball and not fantasy football sometimes isn't focused on enough. And it's like, yeah, if I only had one tight end, of course I want Brock Bowers. If I had to pick to start one tight end, of course I want to play Brock Bowers. But the fact that I do not have to pick who I start, and I could take Tucker Kraft, Jonnu Smith, and Isaiah Likely, let's say right now, I think the benefit, especially relative to cost, of me getting to rotate those 3 guys and everything they bring to the table each week, really, for me, devalues the onesie positions and the elites at them, because like I do feel like there's enough value on the board where I could kind of like you can't replicate Lamar Jackson, he's a dog, but I could get close enough through the aggregate without having to spend that on him. And same thing with Bowers. I think I can make a room with Kraft, Jonnu, and Likely that could have similar points added.
I think that's a fair take. I think that is like the argument against it, and I think that's reasonable. I think the only thing I would say is maybe the ceiling can't be replicated, but that is kind of debatable. Guys like Goddard, stuff like that, Kraft, even they can spike to have big weeks. So
It
so
just won't
yeah,
be
I
the same
mean,
rate, obviously. Like that I'm not arguing against.
right,
If I could
right,
hit that, if it all works out perfectly, I like to think they could give me close, if not the same amount of spike weeks as Bowers does. Although Bowers, like true spike week, is absolutely higher than theirs.
right. That's the only but I think either one's totally viable. What late and mid tight ends? Kraft and Joku. I like Loveland Warren. Jasicki, Hunter Henry. I don't know.
Jawan Johnson, who is free,
John Johnson. Yeah.
should not
Super
be.
late. Yeah. Yeah. No, he goes just like 17th round if you need a third guy. He's such a great little tack on right there.
I like
Oh,
50% Jawan through like 150
damn.
drafts or so at this point.
Damn. I'm not quite there. I'm probably right around field on him, but I do like him as an add-on. That is a good shout for sure. Damn though.
W
Uh,
for Omega Likely is a big guy for me. Shout out, yeah, Isaiah Likely
oh
squad,
yeah.
stand up.
Yeah.
Most underrated tight end in all football.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he can be really good. His problem is he doesn't play as much like true tight end snaps where like with the play action pass blocking and stuff, right?
Hmm.
So the goal lines or like goal lines a little more limited, but he did get a ton of red zone targets. He could definitely have a
And the
breakout year.
talent's just, which we're playing a
Oh
volume
yeah.
game and we got to mix the talent in, but like the talent there's just so big for me. The volume concerns and all that are all more than valid, but I am willing to be like, all right, the contingency upside, and maybe he just overtakes Mark Andrews. I'm willing to kind of like in the same way you were saying earlier, like thinking about through the week 1 lens. Isaiah Likely in week 11 could theoretically be a lot more valuable, and he might come out week 1 swinging. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. And so Kramer would be nice to select what contest we want to vote on. As someone who doesn't do the super flex, I don't feel I should be voting on that contest. Um, I don't know if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, let me pull up. Let me see how many super flexes we have in here. I know it's probably a little higher up. About 1,700. So like 2-3% or so of our teams. I'm struggling on the rough math right now, but yeah, no, we feel that's why we want to give you the context at the top. But the other thing is, we've also like kind of noticed that like people want to vote on BBM teams, and thankfully BBM makes up a lot of our stuff, but In that same way, like, what if someone said the same thing about the puppy, but you drafted a lot of puppies, and then now, like, if no one wants to vote on the puppy and that's the majority of what you have, you get no votes on it. So, like, while your vote may not be, like, then I respect you saying that, like, hey, like, I don't think my vote's as valuable here. Like, if you wanted to, you could always refresh the screen and a new one would show up, but we don't want people to just be able to, like, kind of skip through and go find all the contests because, like, like, they might start hunting their teams. Like, believe it or not, some people, like, or have tried to game the leaderboard at times. And then also just, like, everyone wants their teams to get voted on, and, like, where we make a change that, like, is adjacent to that, maybe not super flex, maybe it puts less of your teams in there, and I think that definitely devalues the experience. So we want to find the right balance there, but we also don't want to make it so, like, you could just kind of pick what you want to do, because then a lot of users are going to get left out because of that.
That seems totally fair. And I mean, I think if you're doing your best, you still know what a good team looks like. Like, it's a relatively small change. Like, just do your best to vote on the best one. And yeah, maybe you don't review it as thoroughly, but it's not the end of the world, right? Just try to do your best on it and take a minute, right?
But point taken, Kramer. Point taken on, like, you're coming like, hey, brother, I don't know a lot about Superflex. Just keeping it real with you. And like, I do feel like, that does matter in a sense that you're like, hey, I don't like this. So solution for that, I don't know yet. But again, like, if anyone has said anything about this product publicly, I promise you we've heard it and talked about it.
And like you said too, they are such a small percentage, and they will be because the vast majority are just going to be more and more classic.
Yeah, and they're not trying to make
So
more Superflex. They better not.
yeah, I think they will, but it'll be like small stuff. It won't. I don't think it'll be like a puppy. It'll be like a schnauzer or something like
Yeah, fair
that,
enough.
maybe.
Fair enough.
Yeah, or like the 30,000 type max, like poodle, super flex poodle, stuff like that. I think, but yeah, yeah. Are you drafting any puppy twos or BBMs? When am I getting a puppy? We're gonna do a drafters main event. I might rip a puppy after. Not sure yet. Likely's a big guy. Oh yeah, we went over that. Yeah, no, I think Likely's a good pick. Jatavion Theo, both good late darts, young guys, super athletic. They could have big upside. Theo could be a big riser. Yeah, for sure. Um, all right, so let's head over here. So we checked out the leaderboard, the profile, everything. So this is the actual draft or pass page where you're showing two teams. You're given post draft, pre draft, super flex. So you don't know what tournament, but you know it's a normal 18 round post draft draft. You don't see their names, tournament, anything like that until after you vote. Um, so the team on the left, they have Kyler and Purdy, A Chain Henderson, Montgomery, Rico, Neal, Brashard Smith, um, Jefferson, Tet, Zay Flowers, Amika, Mims, Noel, Dobbs, Atwell, Trey McBride, Goddard. So good QB room, decent to good RB room, kind of thin receiver room, but decent talent up top, and then an elite tight end. Um, and then on the right, we have Dak and Goff, good QB room, A Chain Mason, Rashad White, Roshan, Shipley Smith, kind of a thin RB room, like a hero build. Lamb, Terry, Tet, JMO, Jawan, Debo, Amika, crazy strong receiver room. And then Goddard, Ertz, Theo, decent tight end room, late guys.
For me, and I'm interested, you say, like, everyone, like, seems to have something that, like, makes them hone in on, like, what team they like, whether that be a specific player that they like or don't. A
Mhm.
specific room being stronger than, like, the average. My personal preference, like, default is like, okay, I immediately start going to look at the running backs and see, like, okay, who has at least 3 viable backs to hit the season week 1, and then how much did they spend on them and how viable were the guys after. And so for me here, both of these are definitely a lot thinner at RB than I like. I would probably give the edge to the person on the left, but that would also just have to do with them picking more in general. So nothing's too strong on either of them for me. Same thing on the QB side. That's pretty much a wash there. So for me, like, I'd love to hear you say this one's probably coming down to the wide receiver and tight end room as the deal breaker. But what are something that, like, you hone in on when you're looking at a team?
Well, I guess like to me, I kind of just compare like for this like position to position. So like I would say QB's a wash. I would say RB slightly into the left because they have Henderson Montgomery. This guy just has Mason as like a viable like player week one. And I guess White, but later guy. And then the big thing to me is this receiver room on the right, like crushes the receiver room on the left. But elite tight end does do a lot more than these three guys as well.
Mm-hmm. This is
Um, but
this one's close to
but
a wash for me.
that receiver room, I mean, because they have Amika as their wide receiver 7, where Amika is this one's wide receiver 4.
Yeah, and I don't think
Um,
the Trey McBride pick probably makes up for that being the case. So like if what you're implying is like you're going to the right because of that, like you sold me. I'm with you.
yeah, yeah. This one is tough though with the elite 10. This running back room's better. So so I was kind of interested by something you said though. So you would call this running back room on the left thin?
Oh, for me, yeah, absolutely. For me,
Really?
yeah, I'm a high teed as like I have 3 running backs through the first 6 rounds and probably 80% of my drafts.
I mean, they're close, right? That's what 3 through the first 7.
And then also, to be fair, at least 2 of those backs are probably coming in the first 4 rounds.
Wow, wow, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely viable. I was just a little surprised when you said it was thin because I think this is like a pretty solid RB room. I think it's 3 like real solid guys up top, but I do get that because like maybe like Montgomery doesn't really have the ceiling without an injury. Maybe even Henderson doesn't have it without an injury. Um, but okay, so which one do you lean? Or
Yeah, I'll
right
go to
or
the
left?
right with you. I agree with your analysis there.
All right. Oh yeah, and then so after you vote, then you see down here. So that was a Schnauzer, and it was Steph Miller versus Sir Williams. So
Not a strong start for Sir Williams squad. 0-1.
no, no.
But say like I know we're gonna
Um.
hop in a draft. You get that. We could do voting on team. If you wanted to, like you could go pull a big loaf on there, and I like we could go through like a couple of those. See, not the Ram, just to like kind of give you an idea of what like those RB rooms looks like. Because when I say high T, it seems like
Oh, okay,
not,
yeah.
not a lot of. I guess it's not a clearly defined term yet.
Oh no, no, no. I mean, I think I get the idea. So let's see. Let's check out some of your best. Um. All right. So Josh Allen, Tua. So a strong QB room. Cook, Walker, Brian Robinson, Tyrone Tracy, Ramondre. Okay, so and you're also not pushing it super late to where you stop either. Like I kind of get that. Like maybe someone's RB 3 or 4, you're finishing your room with that. And then neighbors, Nico, Waddle, Shakir, Shaheed, Jalen McMillan, Amari Cooper, Lazard. So still a pretty good receiver room, even with elite QB, and then running backs earlier. And then Kincaid, Jawan Ferguson.
That team definitely got
Oh,
boxed out at the tight end room. I'm sure I was getting. I'm sure whenever it came time for me to
oh
tight
yeah.
ends, I was getting pissed. Like, oh my god, the lobby ruined my masterpiece I was making here because that tight end room's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no,
But
I
yeah,
mean, it's fine. I mean, because with Kincaid up top, I think you're fine with those 3.
but I think that's a good way to put it. Like a lot of people's potential RB like 3 on their squad. A lot of the times that guy's my RB. Sometimes 4 and stopping there, but a lot of times 5 and I'm quitting. Like so, Ramondre's a lot of folks. I would imagine RB 3 and he's my 5th and I'm stopping there.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense then. I think that actually does make total sense. Like you're filling it earlier as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Essentially.
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Um,
You're giving me good ideas, and I write them down whenever I'm live. So I was writing out like, ooh, like that could be fun.
um, yeah, and seeing this one's kind of similar. You got Gibbs, so like an anchor, but then you got 2 kind of right there. Um, Yeah, and then you still got pretty good receiver capital, right? Because you have Downs at 4, Bateman at 5, Judy Harrison, London, kind of an elite play, elite QB. Do you gravitate pretty heavy towards elite QBs in general?
No, I probably have like I'm maybe with the field on the top three guys being Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jaden Daniels, but probably a little lower. I need to look at it again. I am of the opinion that all the quarterbacks are too cheap. There's probably 28 guys, give or take or so, that we're confident that are going to start 100 games. That's 28. That's 28 individual players, and they also score the most points at the position. So I think it's a little like ridiculous that you could get Jordan Love, Bryce Young, and Michael Penix, all who are conceivably locked into these 17 game seasons, um, for as cheap as you can for what they offer in ceiling on a week to week basis, and the benefit of like having like, hey, I don't need Sam Darnold to do good this week or Michael Penix or Bryce Young individually. I just need one of them to do good. And with the market like just letting me take advantage of that while also having to spend a minuscule amount of draft capital, it's just
Mhm.
hard for me not to. And like I want to take Lamar, Allen, and Daniels as like more, like honestly, but while everyone's just like basically giving out quarterbacks for free, I honestly think DraftKings ADP is sharper because it doesn't do this. Like the court QBs go a good bit higher on average. But while they're not on Underdog, it's just hard for me not to take advantage of that. So no, I'm not on the elite QBs.
Okay. That makes sense. It just happened to be these ones.
And I try to get them when I can. Normally, when they fall, like when if I could get them to fall to me, I think you might have mentioned that earlier too. If they fall, then I
Oh
grab them. But
yeah.
at cost, then not at all for the most
I mean,
part.
who and you got Lamar at 43, um Allen at 36, which that's fair, but obviously you're not full fading, you're mixing them in. But yeah,
Yeah, if I had one
maybe
build
that
though,
should be the strategy. That's your best build apparently.
yeah, you're not wrong there. There could be some to it. It's gonna be fun to look back on all this once like we get the results from like the season in and
Yeah.
see like who got what right.
Yeah. Um so I did hop us in a drafters main. It did start. So are you cool with switching over to that, and then we can maybe rate a couple more teams after, or maybe in between, like picks.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like I think we did. You covered this for almost an hour. Very, very grateful for that. We could full send the draft room. I have no issues with. Did it start on you?
Huh?
This is
Yeah, yeah. When I was looking away a minute or two ago, and like because I entered it like 5-10 minutes ago, they take a long time, and then I noticed the beep. It was like you're up. I'm like, oh no. So I knew that was your guy. I wanted to grab CD, but I knew you were a big Saquon guy, right? Is that what
oh
you were
yeah,
doing there?
Saquon at 5 infuriates me to know. I can't believe it's happening.
Oh, okay. So Saquon was the right call.
All right, so we have Saquon. All right, cool. We missed it. All right, well let's lock into. We'll lock into this for now.
Yeah, I did manually make that one. It started sooner than I expected, so I didn't have time to transition. Okay, so JT, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, T Higgins. Anyone
I'm
you like?
fine with going like JT or Hill here. I hate this turn, by the way. The last year it was the opposite case to where like you picked early and your 2-3 turn was
Hmm.
phenomenal. And now this year, like I think it's almost like the inverse to where I would rather just have pick 33 opposed to pick 26 because I think I could get the same quality guy at 33 as I can at pick
I
26.
I kind of agree with that. I think JT is a little bit of a tier above. Like I think you could argue him with Henry or A Chain, but I think the guys like after that are kind of a drop off where you could argue JT belongs with that tier in the upper part of the second, I think. If he stays healthy, I think you could definitely argue he'll pay that off.
I mean, he went number one overall, what, 2, 3 years ago. So, I mean, like, there's no
Yeah.
doubt that he has that type of ceiling in his bag.
Well, and just how he ended last year with how dysfunctional they were, it's like he still has the ceiling. I think that's what is giving me so much confidence on him is like he showed even with the dysfunctional team coming off the injury, all that, like he still put up those monster games at the end. He still has that ceiling kind of in his bag.
If someone went Lamar early, all right. So we're again the same problem. None of these guys are.
So Bucky, Higgins, Jacobs, Brown, JSN, Terry, Brees.
I have no issue going Jason if you just want to lock in some wide receiver capital. But if it was me, I would even consider going Josh Jacobs here. But I'm not going to high T pill you that much this early.
I mean, we do you want Jacobs or JSN?
You do JSN just because if this was like a puppy or something, I would happily bully isn't the right word, but like hey, we're gonna do some fun high T stuff now. But this is a $20 main event team, so like
Uh,
I don't want to dictate like my theories onto your portfolio like that.
oh no, I mean that's the point. I'm doing plenty of teams on my own. If I want the big loaf team in the portfolio.
I might have went JSN here too, to be fair, just because like especially with drafters, like the way the board is just currently set up, it's just like I always want a running back in the first 3 rounds, just because like the receivers there and like the running backs are slightly more pushed up. So like I've kind of had to force myself to start taking, probably what I wouldn't call the optimal pick in that position,
Mhm.
just because it's like, look, dude, I can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. This portfolio has to be like diversified somewhat, or at least the team structures be more unique, if nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I've definitely noticed that with my own drafting too, where I'll just get into the habit of, yeah, you just feel like you're building the same team over and over. Like I think I use like this overlay tool on Underdog, and then it'll show you like combo percent. And I had like 45% Het McMillan and Genty comboed for no reason. They just go in the similar spot, and I liked Ted a lot in that spot. So I would combo him with Genty like half my builds, and it's like okay, I gotta do something different when I have Genty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you don't realize it just happens so much naturally because if you're drafting, multiple times a day or close to each other, the 4 spot looks the exact same as it did 2 hours ago. And I'm just guessing the guys you like in the 4 spot also look the same as they did 2 hours ago. So it's really easy to like unintentionally just start with the same 3, 4 picks over and over and over again and not realize that's what you're doing.
Right. Or
And
like
that,
I know. Oh, go ahead.
I think that's probably the biggest edge right now with the real time assistance is like the portfolio balancing aspect. I don't think it's offering a big edge yet in terms of like on a team per team basis on how good and maximized that team is, but in terms of like, hey, you have a lot of Tet with Genty, the fact that it could tell you that is an edge, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't use a full RTA. I think or well, you were on with Huhames. The one he uses, I use the same one he does. So it doesn't like suggest picks at all or anything like that, but it'll tell you like where guys play week 15, 16, 17, and then it'll tell you if you have like stacks or what. It'll like highlight like stack guys, and then it'll give you combos that you
Yeah,
have.
yeah,
So
got you.
it won't suggest, but it just gives you a bunch of like info basically, which
What a
is pretty
RP heavy
helpful
room,
like
by
on
the way,
20
dude.
seconds.
Like 2 guys went 3 running backs with the first 3 picks, which I'm jealous of, kind of. But
Yeah, and the guy
I don't agree
at
with going Josh Allen though. When you start, that pick has to be a wide receiver. It has to be
yeah.
a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean picking Josh Allen there is crazy. Like yeah, you're just gonna fall behind too much. It's not gonna be competitive. Especially this is a full PPR site. I mean, like QBs should be, if anything, less valuable in here, right?
All
Um,
right, this is definitely
so
either a Tet or James Cook pick to me.
or go ahead. Which one do you lean?
I love both of them. I love them both. We optimally speaking, we should probably go Tet. You don't need to. This is me talking to myself. Push all my chips in on trying to leverage the running back capital every single draft. So I like Tet here. I love Tet this season. I think I like 25, 26% so far right now.
I I'm also I believe at 25% tight. He's my highest owned receiver overall. Um, Cook, I'm a little lower on this year actually. I worry a little about his usage, about him running so hot last year. I think he can be an okay pick, but I think he might underperform a little. I'm okay with him though, but Ted, I just think he's gonna be a volume machine, and I think we're hoping Carolina's gonna get better as an offense, anyways.
I think they are. I'm very heavily exposed to Carolina this year.
Yeah. What's up, Charles? Thanks for stopping by, brother.
It's going
Yes,
terrible,
you're
Charles.
Hi.
He said, "How's it going?" I said, "Terrible." I don't mean that. I'm having fun.
Oh, yeah. But so you're also pretty bought in on Carolina.
Yeah,
So
and I'm surprised the
yeah.
market isn't more just how we saw the season end. It just seems like a lapse in judgment by them, and like also just like how high rookies are always going. It's like, why is Ted McMillan not getting that? Like, I'm not saying he's a Malik Neighbors level prospect, but like, why is he not like, a lot closer to being in the top 30 than he is, especially with how much people like rookies?
Right, right. And yeah, he went 8th overall in the NFL draft, like clear dominant guy day 1. Um so JMO, Kamara, Waddle, Chuba, Ridley, Hunter, Jawan, Connor.
How about
Anything you
we
like?
lock in the Chuba, get that's high T to me, and that way I don't have to keep thinking about like, oh god damn, there's a running back here that I love so much that I can't believe we have to pass on. And now we could just go out in there and hammer. But yeah, I start a lot of drafts like this. I might have this exact start somewhere, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely start some drafts like this. I'm not super big on Chuba. Like I would want Kamara, but I do get the team stack that we did, so that makes total sense. Why you
Oh,
would lean him?
fighting words, my friend. No,
About
no
Chuba?
Canadian King slander. No, the announcer of the Carolina Panthers' second round draft pick this year slander
Oh yeah, yeah,
allowed.
I saw that.
No,
Yeah.
number 2 in rushing yards over expectation in 2024 slander allowed here. Now his passing game usage, that I am
Yeah.
worried about, but I view him somewhat as like Josh Jacobs. I think that's kind of like the fair like role comp, where it's just like, yeah, he'll get receiving work, but he might not get all of it, and like not enough to where like he's good enough to where he's out there all of the snaps. However, his ability to run the football, see holes, do what the Panthers want him to do on offense. I mean, I loved him last year at 170 when everyone was taking Brooks, and like he had 26 carries or something like per game, like the last 2 games in 2023 coming to last year. It's like, the last coaching staff trusted him. I know it's a little different, but he was a good college prospect. He looked really good at Oklahoma State, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, and like he's a tough one. I'm not all the way out. Like I don't hate him as a pick. I just worry they bring in Rico for a decent amount of money. I don't think Rico is great, but a decent amount of money, and they draft ETN in the 4th round. It just worries me a little, especially ETN if he takes like a decent pass catching role. I just worry that Chuba could disappoint a little because like his passing game usage was pretty rough, right? But his rushing was great, very efficient, and they have a great O line.
Yeah,
So
a lot
I'm
of it's relative
in
to cost
between.
too. Like Hampton has Najee there, like you know what I mean. Like, and I would argue Najee's much more of a week to week threat to Amari and Hampton than Rico Dowdle is to Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, I lean Kamara over Chuba.
For him, I'm worried about and total points. This could kind of get
Right,
taken away
total
a little bit.
points.
Not getting playing week 15, 16, or 17, or at least one of those big money weeks because the Saints are 5-11 and just gave him money and maybe shut him down or
When
something.
he's fallen off at the end of the year, like the last 3 years in a row or something. You look at his points per game, like for Kamara, that is points per game, like past week 11 every year or something. It's down like 5 points per game the last 3 years. It's crazy how much he falls off every year.
All right, so this would have to be a wide receiver for what it's worth.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. We look at RB, Caleb Montgomery Pollard. Uh, so we got Judy, Debo, Addison, Ricky, Diggs, Downs, Shakir, Golden Reed.
I'm definitely hoping we get Judy here. I have no qualms with Addison either, although we're a little thin and he might get suspended to start the season. This guy's looking like he's on auto pick. No, he took Debo. Yeah, that's Judy
Okay,
all,
Judy.
all
Yep.
there than me. The way I do my projections is I have fantasy point equity. I went back through last year and like put like what percent of each position scored all of the points and like the what percent of a player scored the team's fantasy points and tried to base it on that. And one thing I definitely noticed from doing that, the projections that way, is it does kind of work out in a way that, like, hey, believe it or not, the wide receiver one on the team averages more fantasy points than wide receiver twos do. Like, just like that, that's how it is. And obviously, like there's some like nuance there to where like JMO is probably going to outscore Alan Lazard, who I think is the Jets wide receiver too. However, on the wide receiver one side, at least, I think a lot of these like perceived bad offenses, and I'm not going to argue that they could be bad. Their wide receiver ones are just way too cheap based on like what being a wide receiver one on an NFL offense means for fantasy purposes. And Judy fits that mold perfectly to me.
Right, right. Just like the minimum volume that he's gonna see. It just yeah. Like it makes total sense. Like his cost is too low, or like I'm really big on Olave. Number one guy on that team. I know you're a Shaheed truther. Uh
I like both, but Shaheed Truther for sure, but both. So who's here besides Addison for us? It seems like there's probably a tier
uh
break, at least in my mind. And yeah,
Addison, Diggs, Downs, Shakir,
we can
Golden.
lock in Addison. I think he might not get suspended, and then even if he does, like we'll keep hammering wide receivers and could hopefully make up for it. But so how do you feel
Yeah.
about that wide receiver room? You started with Barkley, Taylor, and Hubbard, and now you have JSN, Tet, Judy, and Addison. Is that wide receiver room better than you thought it would be with going three running backs through the first five picks?
Um yeah, I mean I think it feels pretty good, and I think we got, especially our top three guys, really good archetypes for like full PPR. They're all kind of big like target guys, big kind of reception merchant type guys. Um so yeah, I mean, I think it feels pretty solid at receiver, especially with the first two being running backs and then getting Chuba even. Yeah, feels pretty good.
I'm trying to take you over to the light side, brother. The high T side. It's beautiful over here, man. It really is.
Uh, Oh, I mean, believe I probably lean a little more zero or hero, but I have like mega high T builds in my portfolio. I have like I know for sure I have like a Gibbs JT Jacobs, for example. Just three straight, and then maybe like one or two like pretty late, and then just call it stuff like that.
That's the other thing I like about the high T's. I get to stop at 4 and 5 running backs all the time, and I get to kind of like add more to my other rooms because like I have to commit like less total picks at a position because of all the capital that I spent on it.
Right, right. And then you get to put like so much depth in those other positions, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's like Alec Pierce. I don't think he's going to be usable. Probably even more than like 4 times. Even that might be being generous. However, when I have a room of 9 wide receivers, 8 to 9 wide receivers, and Alec Pierce is one of them. I like knowing that, like, hell yeah, man, I'm gonna get 2 to 3 like pretty nice weeks out of Alec Pierce at least, and I get to count on that in the aggregate. I'm really big on building all the rooms in the aggregate, really outside of running back. Running back's the one where like I'm gonna punch you in the mouth, and this is how I'm gonna get out of this pod and score
yeah.
a metric fuck ton of points. And then with the other positions, it's just like I think I could build these pretty well in the aggregate to where hopefully the spike weeks start breaking in my favor, and I could rotate in like the usable weeks is if you take Justin Jefferson, you're probably planning on using him probably like 14 out of 15 times, depending on how deep your team goes. Whereas at Jordan Addison, on the other hand, I'd say maybe 7 or 8 projected like usable weeks, maybe a little more. I'm shaky on the data there. I haven't done a big study, but yeah, but really trying to like balance the spike weeks and hopefully they hit when I need them to.
Yeah, and I think that makes total sense. And like, especially if you get one or two consistent guys, like if I go really RB heavy, or let's say like a build like this, but we also throw on like an elite QB or something, I might be more open to like a Shakir who can give me that floor, or like we picked him on this team and I think he's good either way, but like a Judy, like high target volume guys, and maybe Shakir doesn't have the upside, but it's like then you tack on those big spike week guys and you can really layer it in well
Mm-hmm.
to make a nice room, not spending like early capital, right?
No, for sure. I think there's ways just to do. There's so many ways to what's the saying, skin the cat or something. What the best
Oh
way.
yeah. More than
So
one way to skin a cat. Oh, good.
what do we got on the board here? We got Reed and B Rob, who I'm guessing neither, at least one of them, don't make it back to us. I would love to
Mhm.
take either one of them, but I'm not expecting to be able to.
So at running back, we have Mason, Warren, ETN. At receiver, so they both went. We have Cup, Pittman, Higgins, Coleman, Shaheed. And at tight end, we have Hawkinson, Ingram, Andrews. QB, nothing that stacks.
Could I interest you in pulling up Rashid Shaheed?
Yeah, I kind of figured that was gonna be it. Uh, yeah, we can pull them up. How do you feel about these tight ends like the Hawkinson, Andrews? I guess Ingram. I'm a little lower on Ingram, but how do you feel about this range of tight
For
end?
Hawkinson and Andrews, I think there's a lot of potential like floor risks there that it kind of scares me off. Whereas like Evan Ingram, I think has a clearly defined role, but I would be willing to argue that like the Hawkinson's weekly ceiling's probably higher. But for tight end, I kind of like that's one position where it's like I want to build an aggregate, but also want to lock in some usability and on a week to week basis. And Ingram's
Hmm.
probably the one in there where I'm called to be like, hey, like especially in a PPR format, like I think you can get me 10 points pretty consistently. Whereas like Hawkinson and Mark Andrews, I think there's a lot more with what Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry get of the volume, and then what Jettas and Jordan Addison, excuse me, get of the volume. And on top of the running game, I worry that those guys just weekly ability to produce is a lot lower than it needs to be based on their cost and with considering the guys that go behind them.
Okay, yeah, I mean that seems pretty fair. I I I'm pretty in on Hawkinson just because I do think he's a really talented player. I think he maybe is a little underrated because he was coming off that ACL last year, but I get what you're saying with the mouth to feed. That makes sense.
What do you think
Um,
about just like I think in total points, not stacking is like a lot more viable, or at least like the fact you don't have to need to do it much. How do you feel about like you naked Baker Mayfield here and just try to lock in some quarterback ceiling?
Baker, yeah, sure, we can do that.
Do you feel
Um,
that way on like the total points versus pod format, to where like I personally feel like you do not have to stack as heavy over here and have to be as worried about it as you do on the pod format side of things.
so I guess maybe explain your perspective on that a little bit. Um, I guess my way of viewing it, I would think it would be more important in total points because you're in a giant like megapod. So if Baker goes off not being super mobile, it's likely that a team with Baker and the top weapon would outscore us.
Yeah, and I guess in total points, it's also like I'm not viewing everybody as like every pick I take is their complete ceiling outcome, because that's just not the case. Like that's what we tell ourselves when we draft, that like, oh, we have to draft for everything being right, but like it's honestly it's just not true. And like the reason that I feel like the total points doesn't need to be stacked as much, because what I view this the benefit of the stacking is for the pods, for you to like beat a specific like contest of people, 12, 13, however many you go up against, and then in the finals, I view the stacks as a benefit to like get ahead and leverage there. Whereas in total points, I'm just trying to come in as like I'm gonna just make this team try to make it score as many points as humanly possible, and I think you could do that without have now in the world where Baker Mayfield's overall quarterback one. Yeah, we might be a little in trouble with this finishing first in the pod without having Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. But I'm not taking Baker Mayfield, at least in my mind. We made this selection with the idea of like, oh, yep, he's going to be the QB1 overall this year. Like if he's QB like 8, I don't think that's necessarily true that Mike Evans and Godwin, we're going to need them. And then if he's also QB8, I think he benefits us greatly being on this team, even with no stacks.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, okay, I can see that. So it's like kind of like more of a ping pong week argument. Like if he's good and you can use him for 6 weeks out of the year, 7 weeks out of the year, doesn't necessarily mean you needed the pass catcher because these 2 weeks it's Evans, these two it's like Buka, these two it's Godwin, but you got more QB ceiling and his pass catchers didn't totally separate. So
Yeah,
that's
and
kind of
yeah,
yeah.
like in the world where Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are like, top 5 fantasy wide receivers, yeah, we're absolutely in trouble. But like, I'm not taking Baker Mayfield with that in mind here, obviously. But I'm big, really big. I call it the aggregate, but ping pong to ping pong. I try to ping pong a lot of this. I think that understanding how much of this like kind of like is ping ponging is a big edge in itself.
Yeah.
But let's see what we got
Um
on the board here.
so it's mostly running backs. We got Kirk, Burden, Mims, Kyle Williams, Brown at receiver, Tillman,
We got a
Dobbins,
tight end.
Scotty, Spears, Warren, Kraft,
I'm okay with
Goddard,
locking Tucker
Loveland,
Craft here.
Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, this range, once we start getting to like that 115, 120 range, like I don't want to say ADP is completely out the window, but like I personally just don't never really care if the dude I actually want and that makes the most sense for my teams, like even if he's like 15 picks away from me,
Hmm.
because like at a certain point, I don't think you should be letting ADP dictate what you do. In the earlier rounds, the ADP is what it is for a reason. Those guys objectively all have the highest ceilings. But once we start getting out of like the top 100, I think starts becoming a little bit more murkier on everyone's like clears paths and like their actual likelihood to get there. So after like you lock in the core of your team, I think you should start like kind of being willing. Okay, like what needs to happen to round this out, and if like ADP value doesn't end up becoming a part of that equation for one reason or another because of how it falls, like just accept that instead of trying to like bully it into the process.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. Unless you get like over a full round faller, um, yeah, like there's no downside to reaching. Okay, so we can
Ramondre
go.
or Goff here for sure for me. And then we could get Young for the stack. Like now, Young here makes a lot of sense. Like whenever the time comes, but I would be
Yeah.
going to Goff or Ramondre here more than likely.
Okay. Any preference which one? I have Ramondre queued right now.
We all right. Well, I think that's a sign from God.
Oh, okay. All right, Ramondre it is. So would Warren have been in consideration, or are you kind of out on the rookie tight ends?
At the cost on drafters and honestly the cost on Underdog now, like now I'm in. Like remember whenever post draft, whenever BBM and all this started dropping, like I think him and Loveland were much closer to like 100 than they were to 120, if I remember correctly. But at this cost,
Definitely.
I think the upside is now there. To where it's like, hey, if the floor is a little lower, I'm okay with that. I just know what tight ends are available for us there later, and the way this team's set up right now, it's just like I'd probably rather just lock in another RB or QB, and we could deal with the tight end later. But if like in the world where these things were taken care of, yeah, I would absolutely be live to take Tyler Warren here or Loveland. I love Loveland's price on drafters, by the way. This is where I want to start really upping my exposure because it feels like a fair price at 130.
Oh yeah, yeah, and even on Underdog, it's been getting like that too. He's been in the 130s now. His price is insane for a guy taking top 10 at running or at tight end. I mean, it just seems way too low in that offense with that system. Like they disappointed last year, but whole new system. That's the first guy Ben Johnson takes 10th overall. Like, I don't know. That's a guy I want to bet on.
If they
He's like
didn't
a
take
field
Burden, I think
starter,
he would be higher, right? Like if the Burden didn't also get
definitely.
mixed in, and like that's what worried me at first. Like this is crowded. There's no if and we know Ben Johnson likes running the football, but now with you know the cost being a little lower, I'm like to what you were saying, he went 10th overall. Like it was Ben Johnson's first pick. I want this guy, and I wanted him before, but just like cost dictates a lot of what we feel about these guys, and as it should.
Right, right, exactly. And yeah, and like around 100, you're passing up on a lot more premium players. I would say where they go now, like you kind of did a cliff where receiver and running back kind of fall off, and grabbing a guy like Loveland back here or Warren, like it feels great because like the guys you're passing up on are so low ceiling anyway.
Hmm.
There's some gems or whatever, but the general range, the ceiling that'll have is so low.
Yeah, and that's something I think, like even really towards the back end of the drafts too, that I think a lot of drafters don't give enough credit to is that these Ertz, who else is in there? I'm going to say Jawan, even though he's a little bit later. Kate Otten are definitely live to score more points than some of those like Jack Beck wide receivers in that range are.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. Well, I mean, because like I don't know, I'm sure you've seen those charts, but like you see some of the charts where it's like this is where the projected points for like the tight ends surpass the receivers, and I think it's around like pick 110 or pick 100 or so. And after that point, I think it's the tight ends almost always project higher than the receivers and running backs in that same range.
And you can theoretically start two tight ends every week now. Them being your flex
Right.
is going to be a little hard to make happen, but it is doable. And I the tight end disrespect has probably gone a little bit too far in the wrong direction on like the non-elite guys. Like the non-elite guys got all, or
Yeah.
the elite guys got all the respect, and now if you're not like Kittle, McBride, or Bowers, everyone just basically thinks you're worthless. Do we still have Loveland, or did he go?
I believe he. No, no, he's still there. You
Uh,
want Loveland?
yeah, you want to throw it? You want to make it happen?
I mean, I like Loveland, yeah.
And then
Or we can
hopefully we can
get
get Bryce Young on the way back. Now, I'm open to either Young or Loveland. Whoever you're more willing to push, I'm going to default to you on here.
um let's go Young because we need him. And Loveland and Kraft do have the same bye week. These guys also
Noted.
grabbed a tight end here. This guy is two with McBride. So we might have a shot.
Okay, okay. I feel like the correct move was probably to take Bryce Young there.
Yeah, well, I think his QB is pretty thin, and we don't have like obviously we could grab like a Geno, Cam Ward, Rogers, one of these guys, but I don't. I mean, I guess we could look at Darnold. We could have looked at Darnold. We have JSN, but
I'm open to
I don't,
Cam Ward here as
yeah.
well, even if Loveland does make it back around, just because there might not be a starting quarterback on the board left by the time it gets back to us. And like you tell me if you disagree, but this has all the makings of a 3 QB team.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I think I would generally lean towards three QB with this, but we wouldn't have to. I think either way could be fine. Um, I would lean to three, yes, though.
All right, let's see if
Uh,
we have a decision to make. Come back. Or if Loveland's gone, I would probably just go. All right, well,
well,
I think we're taking a quarterback,
yeah. So
which
here's
might have
the
worked
other
out better
top
for us
guys.
anyway.
So you want to go QB, or do you see anything that you like more?
Yeah, we could go QB, and then like there's a lot of backstackable options with like Cam Ward. Like I am the one of like the least stack heavy people I've learned recently. Been on like a
Yeah.
lot of streams. Thanks everyone for having me, but I've definitely learned that people like stacks a lot more than I do, and I want to be respectful to you, Hartman Fantasy Football, and get you the stacks that you desire.
Oh no, I mean, hey, like I said, I want a team like you would draft. Yeah, I would say I'm pretty big on stacking. Like for example, I like Cam Ward the most out of those quarterbacks that were left by a good amount. But if it would have been just like me making the pick there, and had to take QB, I would have taken Darnold with JSN. But like, I like Cam Ward way better, just straight up head to head him versus Darnold.
And I don't think like I think that means something. Now this isn't me going like on anti-stack propaganda to you, but if you start sacrificing things you like at too much of a rate to get the stacks, I think you start like kind of like playing yourself a little bit. Like if you really like Cam Ward that much more than Darnold, and especially my opinion on the total points format being like a little bit less stack heavy, I think you should take Cam Ward more there more often times than not because like I think in your heart of hearts that's kind of what you want to do because you like him more.
Oh yeah, well, to be fair to that point though, I'm pretty out on Darnold, but I'm pretty out on the whole Seahawks passing game. So like JSN is under 1% exposure for me. Cooper Cup's like 1%, Darnold's like 1%. So it's like the rare times I take JSN, I would grab a Darnold because I'm like, well, I don't have much of either. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll do the correlated bet like when I do grab them. JSN's probably my biggest fade in the first three
I like him a lot
rounds.
more in the PPR format, but like to your point, I
Definitely.
hate basically every
Definitely.
round three wide read, like those like 32 to 24 ADP guys, like
Yeah.
at cost. It pains me to take them, and a lot of times I do it. It's just like every time I take JSN, it's because it's structurally based reason, not because I'm in love with what I think JSN's bringing to the table this year. And it's these are the annoying things we got to deal with as drafters, and that's fine. We got to figure out the best way to deal with them.
Well, and I will say one point you made. I play the most underdog by far, so the JSM point would be I would have way more on a full PPR.
Absolutely.
His value is way different format wise. Um, but
I
yeah,
agree with that 100%. It's part of the reason I've also struggled to like want to like push all my chips in on going in on the total points thing, but because it's PPR, not because it's total points, because all the fun spreadsheets, research, everything I've done, data collection has been half PPR based, and like I do
oh,
worry that there might be some holes in my game if I try to like just flip it over to the PPR format. But like to what you just brought up, I don't know if Underdog is even necessarily adapted to being a half point platform. Underdog gives me the
no,
vibe of a full PPR platform when I go look at its ADP and its
yeah,
half.
You think DraftKings was the half PPR?
Yeah, and even drafter,
I didn't
even
know.
I'd argue. But all right, let's see what we
Yeah.
got here. Uh,
Um,
I love Jonnu here for what it's worth. I don't know if you do. I think people are really overreacting to him going. Now,
I'm
what is
a
that wide receiver though?
so we could get a double with our Bryce Young. I don't know if you like anyone else
I
here.
love Jalen McMillan. I want to get you your stack. So if you hate him,
Okay.
if
Do
you
you
hate
want
Jalen McMillan, that's on you. I'm getting this is all for you,
McMillan
baby.
or Janu? McMillan or Janu?
McMillan,
Uh,
or
uh,
Jonnu. It's all
all
right.
right. Sorry.
We'll get him on the way back. Nah, I mean I like Jonnu too. I'm not mad about it. I like McMillan. McMillan's like the perfect example of a ping pong guy to me. Like I think he's too low because people aren't like baking in the ping pong element. And I'm willing to argue that the Ibuka pick it was not meant to like slander McMillan. I think it's more so like, hey, Mike Evans might retire soon, or maybe we don't think Godwin's going to be ready, or maybe we just want four really good wide receivers. Because I watched McMillan a lot last year, and none of like his game to me was ever like, oh God, they need another guy like right now, or they're screwed.
Right. So grab him here, right?
Yeah, I think that worked out for us. This is definitely a three tight end team,
Oh.
which I'm not disagreeing now. Are we stopping at four RBs here? That's my question to you because I definitely think we could. We don't have to, but we could stop at four.
I mean, we could. Usually in a 20 rounder, I would just toss on a fifth one just because, but if you want to, I mean, I'm fine with it. Um, oh, and I did want to make a quick point, just what you were saying with McMillan. Um, I think too, like him and Igbuka are kind of different play styles. Like McMillan's kind of more like the Mike Evans, and Igbuka's more like Godwin, right? McMillan's that big, like contested catch, like big body, touchdown, goal line guy, fade balls. Igbuka's kind of over the middle, like slot type stuff, right?
That seems to be. I'm not going to pretend to be the best ball knower on the planet, but from what I've read and what I've seen, the takeaway does seem to be that, like, yeah, Abuka's role does seem better suited for what Chris Godwin does, and then McMillan on the Evans side. Oh, what you pull up? Aaron Sandy, big loaf, big brain, big
Oh
ribs,
yeah,
big bobs. Yeah, a lot of bees, baby. I like it.
yeah. There we go. Uh, Are you guys answering
Nope,
fantasy questions?
played yeah.
uh, yeah, sure. I mean, sure. Yeah, I mean, if you got any fantasy questions, I mean, sure.
If
We'd be
you're
happy to
willing
talk
for us to
about it.
potentially give you the wrong answer, you could ask
Yeah,
anything you want, or at least you ask me. I always speak for my man Harbin over here, but I'm more than willing to give you an answer that could be potentially wrong or right.
yeah. Can't guarantee anything, but you can get an answer. That's for sure. Um. All right. I'm gonna go over the team real quick just in case. So right now at QB we have Baker, Bryce Young, Cam Ward. That QB room feels pretty solid. Pretty happy with that. RB, we got Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Chuba Hubbard, and Ramondre. So that feels pretty solid at RB. And that receiver, we have JSN, Ted McMillan, Jerry Judy, Jordan Addison, Rashid Shaheed, Jalen McMillan. Um, Feels decent at receiver still, actually. And that tight end, Kraft and Janu. So feels pretty solid overall. I think it's coming out
Yeah, it does,
pretty good.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
high T, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely think that you can build high T like super viable. Like I don't it's not like our receiver room is a crazy strength, but Rashid Shaheed's wide receiver 5. I mean, we're not like weak at receiver by any means, I wouldn't say. So yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely build out of it really good. I think we did build out of it good.
The room could have definitely screwed us at like plenty of points as well. So like that's the other thing.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the high T somewhat relies on like, hey, you guys are gonna mess up and give us some tight ends, quarterbacks, and wide receivers that maybe we shouldn't have gotten if everyone just went at ADP value.
Right, right, exactly. Especially in that kind of mid range, they gave us some pretty good receivers like Addison in the seventh, stuff like that.
Who we have on the
Judy
wide
here.
receiver side right now? I think we're up next, right?
Oh,
So
sorry.
it
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like the time to be hammering that. I like Yami here. I don't know why he's still on the board. I'll happily take that value if they want to just give it to us.
All right. So
They're not.
probably Diami. We can look real quick at the others.
You want to go just to Kate Otten, get
Oh,
the back.
Diami went. Sorry.
You want to go Kate Otten? We get you that stack if you want it, brother.
I mean, sure. We probably want a third tight end anyway, right?
Yeah. Like I love Juwan with every fiber of my being, but like I have no qualms with Kato. Darren Waller's above Juwan Johnson. Are you people kidding me? Unbelievable. Get,
Start him up.
oh my. Oh my. Oh, I don't like that information. I'm insulted right now.
Oh yeah, and there he goes. Yeah, I mean Darren Waller, he's got fresh legs. So
And fresh wraps.
yeah. Uh oh, let's see. Gatlin Oliver. So my league is a non-professional family league where most years the top 2, 3 quarterbacks get drafted in the first round. How can I shape around this to make my draft better? Um,
Is it two quarterbacks?
go. I would doubt it if they're saying,
Pull up wide
let's make this
receiver.
pick. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
No, I'm like the streaming drafts is tough business, dude. Uh,
Anyone you
Slayton.
like?
Slayton.
Slayton. All right, yeah, I like Slayton. That feels pretty good there. But so let's so if it's a 1 QB league, which I'm assuming it is, I would just say if people are overdrafting QBs, push it late. There's a lot of good options. Get 2 later guys, especially like young guys with rushing upside. Get a Drake May, a Caleb, I don't know, Justin Herbert, someone that falls that you think will be a good value. Don't try to reach to keep up with them. Focus on other positions while they're taking QBs too high, right? Make them pay for passing on the more premium picks.
And they did say one quarterback league, so yeah,
Oh,
like
one
I
QB,
have
yeah.
nothing to add on to that. Yeah, if they want to take Lamar Jackson a 4 overall to one QB league, you let them. And then I would say like you said, like that Drake May, like I would take your backup quarterback maybe sooner than those guys do. So like if you take Drake May, like people want to take
Right.
like Bo Nix, Justin Fields, someone like that, to where maybe you could try to play the matchup game too. So that'd be my tack on that you had to say Hardman is like maybe be willing to take the second quarterback a little earlier than the rest of the team. Well, that way you could have two outs. Because you do have to pick to start them.
Right. Right. And that is a good point too. Yeah, like that way you have multiple outs. Get like high upside guys. Don't be worried if they bust because the waiver wire will always have starting quarterbacks in a managed league. Um, so just like take big swings on lower guys, like the Fields, the young guys, rookies, second year guys, all that kind of stuff. Just take bigger swings, and that's probably the way I would play it.
So what are we
Um,
at now, brother? A 3-4 what? Like 7-3?
oh, where is it? So it's right here where like I have it selected. So it's a 3-4-7-3. Yeah. So
What do we have here on the running back side of things? Nothing that like uh I'm just willing to wait to the 20th round at this point to see if maybe something presents itself there. So I guess we could just have this wide receiver tab pulled up because we're definitely not taking more quarterbacks or tight ends.
right, right. Yeah. So probably 2 receivers and a running back. I'm thinking.
Yeah, or three. I'm honestly even okay at stopping a 4 here, but we'll see what's there in the 20th. But yeah, 2-1 or 3-0, like for sure.
Okay.
Um, if we want to these queue up some of these dudes, like we queue Deontay. I'm willing to queue Deontay. I really queue Ray McLeod. Is Alex still there, or did he go off the board? I'm assuming he's probably gone
He
now.
he must still be there, right? Damn, he's gone. Oh no,
Yeah,
he's there.
yeah, that's fine. We can do that for the stack. At this point, like I like
Which one do you
Deontay and
want?
Amari. We'll do
Deontay.
we'll do Alec for now.
Oh, you want to do Alec?
Yeah, no one's gonna take Deontay. At least I don't think so.
Wait, is he gone?
Who?
His name's crossed Alec. See it
Oh,
on my
they need to
screen.
fix that UI. That's a problem. Oh,
Yeah,
that draft button should not be green.
I put Deontay at the top, so it was
Oh, that's
fine.
fine. But
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
even. I don't know why that draft
Oh
button's
yeah,
still green. It should be grayed out.
yeah. He's right there. I was kind of wondering because his name was crossed out, but it's like, oh, you can queue him and draft him. I'm like, okay, well, he must be there.
But I end a lot of
That's
my
fair.
drafts with Deontay and Amari, or at least one of them, just because Deontay, if he could get out there, I mean, we know he's a talented football player, and then also as soon as Amari Cooper signs, and Here's one that I've been at on a bunch, and like honestly, who we're probably going to take at the next pick, but I want to hear your thoughts first. Nick Westbrook-Akine. Now that excuse me, John Smith is gone, I think he has a real role, and he's Alec Pierce is already great value, Alec Pierce, but Nick Westbrook-Akine is great value, Alec Pierce to me. I think they bring that same type of archetype to the table. Like, yeah, the weekly floor is terrible, but these guys have shown that they could win deep, and when they do, like they're live to score 10 fantasy points on a single play.
Yeah. I mean, so that's who you want, Nick Westbrook?
Yeah, I've been adding him. I think the market will catch on that eventually. Like honestly, I think he'll start going
Um,
higher, and I think him now potentially being bumped up to like the fourth pass catching weapon behind A-Chain, Hill, and Waddle on the Dolphins is somewhat going under the radar since John left, and I feel like maybe a month from now, like obviously I'm not saying he's going to start going in like the 15th round, but instead of probably getting him for free in the 20th, whenever you want him, he might like start consistently being like a round 17, round 18 pick.
yeah, I do wonder if he'll get held down a little bit by the Malik Washington truthers. Um, but I do see what you mean. Like he had monster plays last year pretty consistently. He had that really nice stretch. That doesn't it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a superstar, but it also doesn't happen just by accident with that many in a row. Um, so yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good having him on there. I'm pretty bought in on the Miami resurgence, all that kind of stuff. So if you're getting a little piece of that, like why not, right? Then
But
it's not like
best
Waddle's
ball
always
on
been
call isn't.
healthy.
It seems like in chat. Are the
Um,
Dolphins the most fragile feeling picks?
yeah, all day attendant. Most fragile feeling picks. I think so because like you can pick Hill, and Hill could be as good as he ever was and not get hurt, and then Tua gets concussed and you're screwed still. Right? Like you could pick a guy be 100% right, he's 100% healthy, and it still doesn't pay off. A-Chain too if Tua's out.
The Dolphins definitely feel fragile to me. They're giving me vibes of a team that's not trying to win. I'm a Steelers fan from Pittsburgh, so I know what diva wide receivers are like. Tyreek Hill's giving me big AB vibes right now. Their O line's really bad. Now, all this being said, I'm really high on A-Chain. Really, honestly, A-Chain's my highest exposure from the Dolphins. I think I'm lower on both Hill and Waddle by a good bit, like 8% being the average exposure. But yeah, in terms of like, I don't want to say most fragile, but I absolutely have my qualms. Even clicking A-Chain, who I like a lot. Like I can't like I don't feel comfy and warm inside every time the same way I do if I click like Derrick Henry or something.
Right. Right. Well, like Best Ball and Collie says A-Chain probably holds best. I agree, probably holds best, but that 4 game stretch without Tua last year was pitiful for him. He
I
was
like
like
think Zach
15
Wilson's
points
better
a
than
game.
Skylar Thompson.
That's fair.
Is Amari still on the board?
Let's look at the queue. Amari's still there. And then we can look at running back quick. I don't know if you like anyone.
I'm okay with either like maybe like Emmanuel Wilson or Zach Moss. I honestly my hot take is I think Emmanuel Wilson's the real RB2 there. I'm not
Emmanuel
sure why.
Wilson or Amari? Emmanuel Wilson or Amari?
We'll go Amari now.
All right.
I bet no one. Do people
All
even know
right.
who Emmanuel Wilson is?
Yeah, yeah. He actually, he actually had some nice run last year. Like
He
near
looked
the
great
end.
for fantasy.
He had that nice little stretch. He had like over 100 carries or something actually, right? Like
I don't,
more work than I thought.
let me see. Emmanuel Wilson. I'll do this part. The back end research. He had no wait. He had 100 carries. You serious? Wow. Damn. Yeah, he
Right?
did. He had
Like
103
120
carries and
or something.
502 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy, right? Because I knew he had some games where he kind of cooked, but I didn't think he was like that. I didn't think it was like 100 carries.
Yeah, Marshawn Lloyd goes above him for some reason. There's always an edge, and like the edge of knowing who the Packers RB2 really probably is. Like the impact of that is definitely debatable, but like there are like just like things that the market like misses. Like, and I think this is a great example of like there's no reason. I'm not saying Marshawn Lloyd's bad or Emmanuel Wilson's great, but with all the everything we know right now, there's no reason for Marshawn to be going above Emmanuel Wilson.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see. I think they're both just so cheap. It's like, I guess in this, it shows it more. But in like Underdog, it's like sometimes neither gets drafted. But I guess Emmanuel Wilson, like never getting drafted, is kind of surprising after what he showed.
especially in 20
Um,
rounds. 18 I could get it, but the 20 round ones, it's even more surprising.
well, yeah, like I mean, I don't know, like people are picking like I don't want to hate, like I don't know if this is one of your guys, but like I don't know how much Ja'Cory Cross can merit, like how much run
You're
he
good.
could get.
Not one of my
Okay,
guys.
yeah, yeah. I don't know how much run like a guy like that could get in that backfield with two guys clearly way ahead. Where like Emmanuel Wilson, there's nothing to say he can't take over as RB2 behind a guy who's dealt with injuries, taking a lot of rushes in his career in Jacobs.
Now Wilson does have that build to me of like, I don't want to say like Justice Hill, but like that type of
Yeah.
like, like body archetype to where like I don't think Emmanuel Wilson stepping into a 15 plus carry a game role if something were to ever happen to Josh Jacobs, but I think he's
Mhm.
going to have a role when Josh Jacobs healthy, and whenever that role is, if anything, God forbid, were to happen to Josh Jacobs, will absolutely increase.
And that's probably a part of the Marshawn Lloyd thing too, right? Like he's big, he's super athletic, he was a third round pick. It's like if he's the second guy and Jacobs does go down, he might get 25 carries, right? I guess that's kind of
Or more
the
carries than Emmanuel Wilson, but like the passing down stuff, it seems like Wilson really, really had his shit together on
oh,
that side of the
definitely.
ball. Like from like I had a lot of Packers last year. I watched a lot of those games, and no Emmanuel Wilson. So I was pissed when he was touching. I was like, "Stop being good at football, please. I need you to suck right now."
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, yeah, but we can go over the team really quick and then we'll maybe just talk about the draft or pass for another minute or two and then we'll probably head out. Um so I got to find it real quick. Oh, there we go. Um, all right. So we got Cam Ward, Bryce Young, Baker at QB. That feels pretty solid to me. Ramondre, JT, Chuba, Saquon at running back. So hyper fragile, but three guys or four guys who all have roles, three clear starters. As long as they stay healthy, then feels like we should be pretty good. All different bye weeks. Or Chuba and Ramondre have the same, but that shouldn't kill us with Taylor and Saquon still in. That receiver, we have Jalen McMillan, JSN, Deontay Johnson, Ted McMillan, Rashid Shaheed, Darius Slayton, Nick Westbrook, Jordan Addison, Jerry Judy, Amari Cooper. Um, sorry, the order was weird,
It
but
is a weird order.
receiver feels decent with the volume in it. And that tight end, we have Johnu, Kraft, Kate Otten. Tight end feels pretty solid with those three. Um, so what do you think of the team overall? How you think it
Well,
came out?
I drafted it. I love it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm more interested to hear what you have to think about it. To me, to be fair, I mean, this is I do like maybe mix and match some of the players in here, but like I draft like this a lot, so I'm more interested to hear what you have to say about it than me.
I think it came out pretty solid overall. I do think we got caught up at receiver enough where maybe just throwing an upside swing at a fifth RB, like in like the round, let's say 15 to 18 range, maybe could have been worth it.
Hmm.
Um, just for a shot, right? Like if you happen to pick the guy that is this year's Bucky, you have like a ultra mega RB room for the cost of like your wide receiver 7 or 8 or something.
Now, to be fair, I thought we had one more pick after Amari. I would have went Emmanuel Wilson for that, so that's actually on me. Now, you
Uh,
obviously suggesting take a little higher. That is on me. I thought we had one more pick after Amari. I would
oh,
have took Emmanuel Wilson probably, but again, my fault.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I still think the team came out good though. Like I'm happy with a team like this. Like none of the rooms feel exceptionally weak at all. I would say receivers where we kind of started a little later, but it feels like we still got decent mid range volume or mid range capital, and then we got really big like volume at the end, obviously, and then even tight end. It feels like we built that out pretty well.
This
Kind of a
team's
mid
built to
range
only have
guys
to
too
start three
later.
wide receivers most weeks, which is a big part of the high T builds. If
Right.
you're doing high T, you need to make sure that the wide receivers, conceivably, the way you're building it, shouldn't be hitting your flex most times. Those wide receivers should be committing wide receiver points, not flex points. Not they do, that's amazing, but with how like thin you are there, you probably want a different position to be hitting in. So, well, part of the high T is wanting a running back in your flex, and Kraft and Jonnu alone, like I think we could get some flex usage out of one of those guys.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see it if they both hit the end zone the same week, especially. I guess just in full PPR, they could even just hit in general. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think the team came together really well. Actually, I think it came out pretty good.
I'll buy it from you for $23.15.
There we go. Already made equity. I'm up on the year. Um, yeah. Well, if it does win, this might be a pretty unique one. My portfolio. I don't think you can name teams on here. Can you? I don't know if
I
you
don't
can.
name any of my teams because I'm a psychopath apparently, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, I just try to like if I do one with someone, like I want to name it, but I don't know. Well, if this wins, you'll remember it.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
remember it.
the high
The
T,
four
man.
RB, yeah, the
That's
high
my
T
branding
four
alone
RB.
right there. Like my name's not on it, but my heart and soul's in it.
Yeah, you're like, and Rashid Shaheed's on here. I know I drafted this.
Anytime it's high T and Rashid Shaheed on draft or pass, I'm like, is this my team? And a lot of
Yeah,
times it's not, and I'm like, damn, other people
there,
know.
that habit. Like two of the times I did my own, I was looking at it. And I'm like, man, this guy drafts a lot like me. And then I click it, and I'm like, oh, it is me. It makes sense.
And sometimes, like,
Uh,
I've had the inverse where it's not. I'm like, oh, I can't believe this isn't me. I wish it was. I got to text this guy and ask him to buy his puppy for $6.56.
yeah. Um. All right. Yeah. No. I mean, that was I don't know. Yeah, I think we built a pretty good team. That was a pretty fun time. We can go back over here for just a second. Um. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I think we built a pretty good team, and that was pretty fun. You know, I think we went over a lot of stuff with the site. You know, it's called Drafter Pass for any of you guys who just got in a little bit later. But you can vote on the different teams against each other. And then you don't see who it is or what tournament, but after you vote, um, like I'll just vote really quick just to show it. We'll go with this one. So then it shows what tournament, like whose it is, what the win loss is. You can check the leaderboard. They have ratings for everyone. You can see the team by user, all that. Different users, what their current rating is, wins, losses, and that's all like on the wins, losses in here. And it's all different kinds of tournaments. So like this is a super flex. They have pre-draft, post-draft. You just make an account and then you can load in your CSV and then people will start rating your teams. Then you have like your own little profile where you can see your rating, like all your stuff, your teams, what people have voted on them, what are your best teams, like stuff like that.
Hey, man, you
I
say
can,
you sold about as well as I could have there. I have nothing to add other than like thanks for having me on. Anyone that wants to come on here, upload teams. It's free. Something also that we like learned is like some
oh
people
yeah.
might not want to upload their teams because they don't want to know people know what they're doing or maybe just know who they are. You could absolutely like make your username something anonymous if you want to, and you could also play around on the site without having to upload your teams as well. I think there's some value in just being able to see like just a bunch of best ball teams and just see what you take away from that from a certain drafter. Just after you look at 100 teams in general, I'm sure you'll probably have something to think about after seeing 100 teams that are not yours.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think people who play like smaller volume or maybe they're just starting to get in for the year, like looking at some stuff like that, they can kind of see what other people are building, what people think's good, bad, stuff like that, you know. I mean, without actually putting in their own. So I think that's a great idea to be able to do, yeah.
Rough Buff Fire asked, "What's
Oh,
the link?" I don't know if it's in the show description or not, or
it is in the show description actually.
it's.
I'll post it in the I'll post it in just a second in the chat too.
Let's say
Um
I don't have that thing where I have my YouTube thing linked to join the chat, which I should probably do. So I would leave the comment if I could. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that so yes, what's the link? That should be the link to the website. But it's in the description too. And that's definitely the right link and everything.
Uh, thanks for checking out Rough Puff Fire. Like, appreciate you, dog. Hope you like it. Again, at Big Loaf on Twitter. If you type in Big Loaf and I don't come up at this point, I'm doing something wrong. But if there's anything you want to see, like about it, don't like about it, have some problems getting your teams uploaded, holler at any of us. We're always available to help and listen to feedback and take questions.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they've been real good with some people have had some issues and stuff, help them out with all that. But yeah, yeah, I want to say, thanks for coming on. I've been using the drafter pass thing like pretty much since you launched it. It's been, quite a bit of fun. It's just kind of fun when you're sitting around, not much to do. Just kind of scroll through some teams, vote on them, see how you're doing. I check the leaderboard every once in a while. But yeah, thanks for coming on, like sharing it with us and everything, kind of telling us, how it came together, your plans with it, all that, and then drafting a team. I think we built a pretty good team. Yeah, it was a pretty fun time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, brother. I had a fun time too, and again, big thanks to you. You're doing me the favor here, 100%. Let me come on, promote what this cool thing we made. So like, a big thanks to you, brother. Like, like there's been a lot of people that have had said no or have not answered me at all. So I'm very grateful for you, like giving me the opportunity to come on here, talk to your audience, draft some teams, and talk draft or pass. So I really appreciate it, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. Um, and I saw so you have or well, do you just kind of want to tell people where to find you, like all the stuff? I linked your Twitter and YouTube channel in the description as well.
Yeah, if you find me on Twitter, I stream sometimes, not as good as Hartman is. I'm definitely working on getting my reps in. Very far from a sharp streamer at these point. But yeah, Twitter, YouTube, the drafter pass accounts in my bio. So if you find me, you'll easily be able to find the drafter pass account that we have. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Twitter, and YouTube, and mostly on Twitter. We do have a Discord. If anyone like wants to reach out, we don't like have it like somewhere publicly posted. We're working on getting all that added to the site right now, so it's not like just sitting on Twitter. But like we do have a Discord if anybody wants to join that, where we take feedback and all that, those fun things. And thanks for the follow
All
and
right.
sub, Best Ball on Call. I'm not sure if you stream or not, brother, but like as I've mentioned to before, I'm happy to come on wherever. If someone's giving me the opportunity to come to talk about draft or pass, I'm happy to come do it. If you ever interested in having me on the show, holler at me on Twitter. If not, also cool. But that offer is open to anybody, and I don't care if you have one sub or 1,000 subs.
Oh yeah, yeah. Best ball on call. He streams too. Um, him, Nick Bach, Fantasy Football Garage, Steve. They all stream. If any of you guys haven't checked them out, they all make good content and everything.
Let me
But
go subscribe to you, brother, because I'm definitely live to forget. I'm not on YouTube much. I don't consume a lot of the content. I make a lot of like spreadsheets, not even YouTube streams, so I'm not in the streets a lot. So like I do feel bad that I'm not aware of what everyone has going on. But if you tell me what you got going on, I'm always happy to hear about it.
yeah, yeah. Best ball on call. He streams when he can. He actually has a setup that would rival Pete Overzet. Like he has like overlays, like a crazy fucking like stream setup, all that. And then I think he's just insanely busy with like work and all that kind of stuff. So doesn't get to show it off a ton, but he has like a crazy good setup and everything. And I mean sharp drafter, all that too, obviously. But yeah.
Do you know what is we do even do this after stream? I don't want to like what the channel is because like I'm definitely live to forget, and I don't want to forget.
Oh, it's the same name. Sometimes you gotta type it in all as one word. I also had
Eh,
trouble finding it at first.
Gosh, let me type it all in one word, and there it is. All right, subscribe, brother. Appreciate the love, support. Genuinely, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It was I mean, I think we covered pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, no, like you did
Yeah.
a great job. Thank you. Like thank you for checking it out and everything, and coming in like as a professional streamer
Oh yeah.
and know what the hell's about to go down.
I wouldn't quite say that, but yeah, but I think it all went pretty good. We made a good team, but thanks for coming on. Peace out, guys. I'll probably be back later this weekend, but peace out.
See you, everybody. Thanks for coming.